Here with me to discuss all of this is cardiologist and the chief scientific officer at the Wellness Company, Dr. Peter McCullough. Doctor, nice to see you today, but I want to start with one question, Doctor. Very simple. You just heard Josh Howley. Let me ask you the question. Can men get pregnant?
No. And that's the answers we should hear from any doctor who goes to Capitol Hill or gets into an exam room with patients. Doctors who hesitate on this have developed a mass delusion, Steve. Biological males or men cannot get pregnant. And it's comments like that that has the public dropping their trust in the medical establishment. I hope it can be quickly corrected.
Can women get prostate cancer?
No. Biological females, women, cannot get prostate cancer. So we have the same sets of answers. And you know, the sad thing we don't see on Capitol Hill is bringing in doctors with sanity to oppose the insanity and have the public begin to get back on course.
You know, what's remarkable to me when I heard her testify and dodge the question and dodge the question, refuse, that went on for 5.5 minutes. And we can only show you a little clip of that. She's an OBGYN. She delivers babies, and she refuses to answer the question. When ideology overcomes everything else, it's dangerous for medicine, isn't it?
It is. It's frankly dangerous. You know, I've testified 5 times in front of the Senate. I've been in her seat. And I think it is a shame. It's actually a disgrace to have doctors waste our time, our senators' time and the public time. They should be giving clear, concise answers to move through the agenda.
Yeah, here's your kindergarten science lesson, boys and girls. Biological dimorphism. There are differences between the male of the species and the female of the species. All right, enough of that. Let's move on to the food pyramid, which I, by the way, have ignored my entire life because I thought it was wrong. I think eating 11 servings of pasta and grain a day probably going to make you fat. So let's go back to more protein, more nutrition rich. Get rid of the processed foods. I mean, this is a pretty good thing, isn't it?
It is. You know, I haven't thought about the food pyramid since elementary school, Steve. But to flip it upside down and outline. It's along the lines of my brief dietary advice I've given for many decades. We need high-quality sources of protein in this order: fish, beans, nuts, egg whites, non-fat dairy, and then occasional chicken and beef, and fresh fruits and vegetables unlimited. I think where I differ is, the fat that's in red meat and in whole dairy and butter, what have you, it's non-essential. It directly leads to cholesterol production, and it makes people fat. So I think his upside-down pyramid is fine. We just need to X out about 6 things at the upper left corner.
All right, fair enough. I like butter, doctor. I'm not going to lie. I like butter. Maybe that's my kryptonite. I admit it. But we all have our weaknesses. I'd rather have that though than the highly processed food-like products you find in the middle of a store. That's not really food, that has a list that's so long that I can't describe it. Right.
Right. So most of this is about quantity. I like butter too. So, if I have corn on the cob, great Michigan corn on the cob, Steve, I'm going to have some butter on it. That's perfectly fine. But, we don't eat sticks of butter. I think most of this is about quantity, but it is fun to talk about nutrition, and congratulations to RFK and HHS to doing this.
Yeah. As my mother said, everything in moderation, young man. She was right. Everything in moderation. All right, let's shift gears to the vaccine schedule for children. It was 79 in the United States. They brought it down to 11. What about this decision?
Well, yeah, we got from 17 diseases down to 11 diseases. I think the total was 93 shots. It's been dropped by 55 shots. It looks like Denmark now. Our schedule looks like Denmark. Denmark, by the way, has better control over communicable diseases than the United States. The McCullough Foundation, in our report on autism spectrum disorder, markedly influenced the CDC and Trump and Jim O'Neill in making these changes. It was almost right on, our lines. So we're, glad to see that we're having a big input. But we need to get to where Florida is, and that is no school requirements or employment requirements for vaccination. It should be a personal choice between the patient, the child, the parents, and the doctor.
But you get these people on the other side, the naysayers, that say, well, look, we've got 200 cases of measles. You got 200 cases of measles, and so we have to panic. You don't panic. I don't panic. It's like when I had the measles, I stayed home for a couple of days and watched Price is Right. I won the Showcase Showdown. I mean, so come on. The fatality rate of measles is not exactly zero, but it's not far off, is it?
Well, it should be zero now, Steve, with good treatment. We have immunoglobulin for contacts, vitamin A protocols, steroids, secondary antibiotics. It should be zero or close to zero, like it is for any other infectious disease. But no, we shouldn't be closing down airports because of a case of measles. You know, many countries don't vaccinate for it. There's about 600,000 cases worldwide, Steve, 600,000 cases. So a couple of thousand in the United States, it just should not make the news.
All right. So overall, then, the decisions made by the Health and Human Services Department, led by Bobby Kennedy, for the most part, you seem to like it. But let me ask you about this. What about the studies into things like methylene blue? More studies. What else would you like to see done out there to improve our health even further?
Well, National Institutes of Health absolutely positively needs to study the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein from the infection and the vaccine in long COVID and vaccine injury syndromes. It's a big missing piece to the research agenda. We absolutely need to see that. We need to see innovative approaches to cancer. You know, there are anti-parasitic drugs that are very promising. There should be a big NIH investment there. And then items like methylene blue and topical peptides. You know, one of the greatest applications in the Wellness Company product is TheraBlue, which is a topically applied twice a day product to help relieve joint pain and stiffness. These are the types of things we should see tested in government trials. We still haven't seen it yet. Now, they're a year on the job, but we need to keep up continued pressure.
Yeah, at the Wellness Company, they set the gold standard for kits like the one I have in my hand for antivirals, antiparasitics, all sorts of things. TheraBlue, also another great product. You're working every day, doctor, to make us healthier. We appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And if you want to know more about all these great products from the Wellness Company and people like Dr. Peter McCullough, go to twc.health/voice today and order. Use the promo code VOICE. You're going to save 10% and more on some products. Again, that's twc.health/voice, promo code VOICE. Just go there and look at all the different products that are available to make you live a healthier, stronger life. The Wellness Company, great partner for a long time.